Hello, everyone. Welcome. How are we all doing tonight? Good. Yes, thank you. Thank you all so much for coming. Welcome to our bookstore. My name is Amali, and I'm the events director here at Books Are Magic. We are so excited to have Ella Quittner and Madeline Wise with us tonight to celebrate the launch of Ella's debut cookbook, Obsessed with the Best. And before we get officially started, I just have a few logistics to point out for how tonight's event is going to go. First, we will be doing a hand-raised audience Q&A towards the end of the discussion, so please start thinking of questions to ask and hold on to them. After the talk, Ella will be around to personalize your books at the alcove where you likely picked up some chocolate chip cookies. All the books have been pre-signed, but you can get them signed to a special name if you'd like, and we'll let you know where and when to start lining up for that. And finally, if you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we would love to encourage you to buy a copy of Obsessed with the Best online using the link in the live stream description. Okay, so before we dive into the juicy goodness of this book, I just want to give a special shout out to Sohla El-Waylly, who was supposed to moderate tonight's event, but is sadly sick. She herself is the best of the best. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight with some other bests of the best. Um, Ingredients, cook times, low heat versus high heat, to salt during, to salt after. These are just a few of the many, many methodical elements Ella tested while searching for excellence in every recipe. This book is sure to be the new holy grail of cooking, and here tonight to discuss is Ella herself and Madeline Wise, as I mentioned earlier. Ella is a food writer, cultural journalist, and screenwriter who often writes about obsession. She splits her time between writing recipes, books, screenplays, and journalism, mostly for the New York Times, New York Magazine, and Tea Magazine. Obsessed with the Best advances a viral project she began after she left a career on Wall Street for a job in food media. Madeline Wise is a professional snaptress, as coined by Sohla herself. No, I came up with it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm so as coined by Maddie herself to be presented by Sohla had she been well enough to be here tonight. Let's set the record straight. Madeline has been on television in series including Crashing, So Help Me Todd, and Curb Your Enthusiasm, among others. On film, she can be seen in Celine Song's Materialists and in the upcoming Chili Finger. When she's not doing her real job, she can be found critiquing donuts in her popular donut review series on Instagram. So follow that, and please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Ella and Madeline.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ella, I had planned this like incredible gag to open, which was my first question is, did you bring me a snack? But you literally did. So you've undermined my hysterical joke. But thank you for the cookie. It was perfect.
I planned a hilarious gag to open as well, which is I was going to say that because Sola was sick, we were able to hire an award-winning professional actress to play her.
Yeah.
I want to make you do an impression all night.
Thank you. I don't want to do that. I think it's best that our hysterical gags just are sort of theoretical and not happening IRL. But at least you know about them and you all can think about how great they are later. Ella, this book is so sort of miraculous. It feels like not a cookbook that I've ever encountered before. And I was reading it this morning on the subway and thinking how strange that looks, but it actually doesn't read like a cookbook. There are like essays in it, there is like heavily reported science in it. I don't think I've ever encountered the phrase search engine optimization or late stage capitalism in the introduction to a cookbook before. So congratulations on that. Um, but where I wanted to start is that you articulate this sort of like mode of operating in the cookbook early on where you refer to how the reader can utilize the book, which is sort of you can if you are not into following a recipe, you can sort of like use your kitchen experiments as a jumping off point, but you can riff.
Sure.
Or you can use like the mother recipes, or you can, if you're like a little more adventurous in the kitchen, you can sort of use the like secondary and tertiary recipes to get a little freakier and more experimental.
By the way, nice use of secondary and
Thank you
tertiary.
so much. I engineered the whole question to do that.
You pulled it.
But it just feels to me like a really like generous way to approach a cookbook, which is to say, and you do articulate this, like, I'm not an expert. I'm not asserting that this is the best way to do it,
Sure.
but it's a really nice toolkit to give as a gift to your reader. And I wondered if that impulse came from an experience that you had, either in the food
Ooh.
world or elsewhere.
I love that question, and thank you so much. I very much appreciate that you feel like you can use the book that way, because I was hoping it could kind of give you the information you need if you don't agree with me on what the best way is. I think it comes from not necessarily an experience I had in food media or in the food world as much as how I consume media, and especially recipes. A lot of people are surprised to hear this, but when I cook for fun, not for work, I don't ever use recipes. I truly will, like, if I don't know how to do something, I'll read 3 different recipes or 10 different recipes, and I'll try and understand what's going on and what I'm trying to make happen and what the steps do, and I'll, like, triage across different sources,
Yeah.
and then I'll just sort of go for it to varying effect.
Yeah.
And I think that because I cook like that, I sort of assume other people don't wanna be beholden to my, like, 11 steps, and if you miss one, you're totally screwed.
Thanks for not using the F word.
I self-censored, did you see
It was very visible.
There could be children here, there aren't, but there could be.
There could be watching some
Um,
online.
so I think it's more a reaction to that, and at the same time, I wanted to include very specific recipes in case that's not how someone cooks and they just, like, wanna follow a guide and turn their brain off.
Yeah. Um, Something that resonated with me was in the book you articulated that, like, how do you put it? You said, I grew up craving control.
Oh god, what chapter did I say that? Where did I reveal that?
It might be about eggs, but
Okay.
off the top of my head, I'm not which is also so psycho to say that about eggs because it's like, honey, calm down. It's just eggs.
Never just
Although I also do love the like British Egg Council like personality quiz, which
Yeah,
I do
it's
sort of
serious.
want to administer later. But
Heavily funded.
you articulate this thing of like craving control.
Sure.
And you know the book is called Obsessed with the Best. It does like the whole project came from this like desire and obsession to figure out what the best thing is. But as you say, and as I have witnessed, you have had some like spectacular um F ups in the kitchen.
Screw ups.
Yes, screw ups. Thank you. And I wondered if you would talk about your relationship with failure.
Ooh.
And it doesn't have to
This got really
it
emotional.
doesn't have to be only in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, I meant broadly. In the kitchen, my relationship to failure is I'm very open to it and I encourage it. And I think it's like when you're writing something or making a piece of art and you have to try a bunch of stuff to see what is like evocative and working. Like nothing ever, when you're writing a piece or cooking something and you're doing it experimentally, you very rarely nail it on the first round. And I think
That's not my experience.
but I think it's very similar to life a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I think my answer to this question would have been really different 10 years ago, by the way. I think in my 20s I was like very allergic to and afraid of failure and very much kind of like seeking external validation, and it seemed like any sort of failure would like subvert that immediately, and I was very afraid of like getting fired from a job or someone rejecting something I asked them if they wanted me to write or whatever, like writing a novel and someone saying it was bad.
Yeah.
And I think the older I get and the more I do stuff like cook this way and write this way, the more I've come to see failure as like information, not to sound like a therapist. I do feel like my therapist is always like, well, that's information. But I do think a failure can serve as information because it's like we tried that and it didn't work. So, I tried that job and I got fired from it. So that probably isn't a good path for me, or that wasn't the right environment. Or I tried this recipe and this tasted really weird and bad, and probably I should go in a different direction. And now I know that. Like it's less like information and more like the guardrails on a bowling lane when you're at like a children's party, like the bumpers.
Yeah, or like I think of it as sometimes you're like doing echolocation of like you're figuring out you're not sure like what the limits of what you're trying to do are.
Totally.
And you're sort of like feeling around to that's an experience I've had like when I've been like devising theater where we're sort of like figuring out what the piece is, and it's
Yeah.
like you figure it out by being like, well, that's bad,
Yeah, it's definitely not that.
but it's close,
Right.
or it's like,
or it's not.
or it's not. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's really, really not. Were there any things that as you were working on this book, you spent like a lot of time on a recipe, or even like on one of the sort of like more like reported essays where you then were just like, I can't do this, this sucks.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's on the cutting room floor. Recipes and reported essays. I mean, I had a whole trip to the Texas State Fair that's barely in there. And I thought I was gonna write about like the entrepreneurial American spirit and this contest they have every year where the goal is to win an award for inventing the craziest new fried food, like deep fried butter, deep
Yeah.
fried PB&J, deep fried whatever. Um, that didn't make it in there. I also thought I was maybe gonna write a piece about this horrible thing that happened in Parma, which I won't really get into.
Parma's weird. I had a weird time in Parma
I
too.
had two weird.
Colin got bullied aggressive. My husband got really bullied in Parma.
Colin, are you okay?
We'll talk about it later, but it was so crazy.
I just want
And I got
space for that.
I got fat shamed in Parma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe my thing wasn't that bad.
Anyway,
The short version is I was I had a rental car. I'm a really bad driver, famously horrible driver. And my photographers for the book project came to meet me in Parma. And I was like really intimidated by them. I felt they were like way above my pay grade, fancy, scary. I couldn't believe they wanted to work with me. And they're like, can we hitch a ride with you all day? And I was like, definitely. But I'm like a horrible driver and nothing could stress me out more than that. So I like drove them around all day from these appointments where they're like taking pictures of me learning to make fresh pasta from like Nona's and Spalline and stuff. And I'm getting increasingly sweatier and sweatier. Like literally comically a button popped off my pants because I was like so stressed. We kept having to get in my rental car, which was humiliatingly they'd given me a Jeep.
yeah.
Like they like, saw I was American and they were like,
Yeah.
a Jeep.
This is what she wants.
I was like awful. So we like kept getting in my Jeep and I was like getting really hot and sweaty. My pants were falling off and we're so late to the last appointment to go to the pasta thing. And we like drive to the pasta thing and we make it there. And I'm like so relieved that I haven't crashed the car, killed them. I've like somehow sort of maintained a conversation all day, like as if I was cool and chill. They seemingly haven't seen my pants or they haven't commented on it. We get there and it's like 30 minutes after our appointment. And I'm like, okay, everyone get out, let's go. And they like get all their expensive camera equipment and we're like running up. And we realized I thought I parked in the parking structure I was supposed to park in, but I've actually parked like down the block in outer Parma. And I'm like, it's fine, we'll get the car later, let's just go. And we go and we do the thing and it's fine and it ends. And then we go to get my car so we could drive back to like regular Parma to resume our life and trip. And the kind of like underground lot that I parked in that I thought was the parking lot I was supposed to park in, like jail cell walls have come down on every entrance and exit. And we like couldn't get in or out. And by the way, we had like 30 more appointments starting at like 7 a.m. the next day, and they're all over the Longriano Valley. Like, no way to get to them without a Jeep. And we like break in through the jail. We like shimmy in somehow. And I'm like, if we could just get to the car, I bet I can activate the thing. And I like can drive to the thing and it'll just like open and we'll be fine and everything will be fine. And I'll change my pants. And we like get to the car and get in the car and I drive to the thing and I like try and make the thing open with the buttons and stuff. And like nothing happens. It's like dead. Like we are not getting out of car jail. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna park my car and you guys can like grab an Uber or something. And I guess I'm gonna just call Hertz Parma and figure it out. And I like hit reverse like really hard. And the entire front of my car like peeled off like a can of Campbell's soup, like against the ticket thing. Anyway, it was horrible. So then, like, I have to like get an Italian guy to drive us around, and he like hates us, and he keeps having to take us to roadside eatables and stuff. And it's fine. It's an expensive and annoying mistake, but it's fine. But I thought that maybe I would eventually write an essay about this experience and what it taught me in my pursuit of the best, and how we still kind of made it to this prosciutto factory tours and prosciutto festivals and pasta lessons and all of these things. And I thought I would find some insightful lesson in it, but I kind of just never did. Other than get insurance, which I didn't. So that was on the cutting room floor for sure. And then some recipes. I could never figure out how to make easy weeknight pizza dough taste like it had long fermented.
Wow.
Learn that they're onto something with like sourdough. My goodness. Also there was a whole moose chapter that got cut, maybe book two. And pie dough. There was a whole pie dough chapter.
Wow.
I know.
Well, but you do say that the biscuits, you say that the biscuits are like pie on steroids or something.
I know. Yeah, I say that they're just pie dough with a better personality.
Yes.
So I was able to kind of use my pie dough chapter findings in the biscuit chapter.
Which of your recipes has the best personality, do you think?
Ooh. Oh my god. I don't know. How do you define good personality?
Well,
Like
they're-
hot and smart?
Sure.
Vodka sauce?
Yeah. That sounds right to me.
Okay. What do you think?
Of your recipes?
Yeah, you've had a lot of them. Definitely not broccoli soup.
I don't know. Yeah, no, that's not like
Abundant.
sexy.
Yeah, no. Like it's good, it's fine.
Yeah, maybe like the tonato or something.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's got a good personality.
Good
Although it's not for
personality.
everyone.
Exactly. It's
Device.
like occasionally comes over and everyone's like, well, we're gonna head.
Yeah.
Like he won't stop telling this story about the time his Jeep got locked in a garage in Burma.
Maybe the reason that got cut from the book is because it's like for a TV show or a movie. Which sort of brings me to my next question, Ella, which is that, you're a bit of a Renaissance woman.
Oh.
In addition to being a recipe developer and food writer and like reporter, you do also work in the TV and film industry as a screenwriter. And I wondered if it was always clear to you like what the format of this book was going to be, and if there were things that you sort of like realized at a certain point, like, oh, this is actually for another medium.
Yeah, well, I think maybe more so as I worked on it, I started to feel like all of the parts of it and all the types of writing I do are more connected than I would have thought. Like I went into this project thinking it's so different to write a recipe or tell a story about food than it would be to work on an epic fantasy and write an episode of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's actually not true. I think when you're trying to tell a good story, you're just trying to tell a good story, and they're the same considerations kind of across the board and just different sort of like levers and characters and quotes. Um, I would say on the structure thing, like anything that turned out differently than I thought. In the original proposal, I knew I wanted to have those reported culture essays, but I didn't expect them to get so personal.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of personal writing. I like kind of cringe when I try to do it. I have to get very drunk to kind of do any of that. And so in the proposal, the reported essays were stuff like once I'd seen on Instagram a photo of a woman in England who grew the biggest carrot, and she was just grinning and holding like the biggest carrot you could possibly imagine. And in the proposal, I was like, I'm gonna go to her garden and see her big
Yeah,
carrot.
see what's up.
Yeah.
See how she's getting those
And then I got into the project and was like, what would I even say about her?
Yeah. She's juicing.
Like, I don't, does the carrot even still exist? You know, like, I think
the carrot still exists?
that carrot,
Oh,
really it's rotted. But it's like, even the bacon essay ended up very personal. I thought I was going to go to this festival in Des Moines and meet these bacon bros, and it was going to be like a funny frat party that I was just going to have a funny little jaunty tale about.
Yeah.
And of course, it sent me spinning in this whole sort of like identity crisis. And I like ended up in Japan, and then my dad almost like it was crazy. So I think I found in that process that I prefer when I'm telling these stories about people who are trying to be the best or wanting to be the best, that it is really only sort of like meaningful to me if I can find a personal connection that I can relate to, which is like something maybe we've all experienced that is also driving them or informing them.
Yeah. I love your essay about Ray, your brother-in-law.
I don't think he's read it.
Gaming. He's gonna be, well, he should be thrilled and delighted by it.
I hope
But it's
so.
about him like gaming Las Vegas buffets and like he's really sort of dismissive of people who go hard on filler, what he calls filler.
Yeah.
Just like mashed potatoes and lo mein and stuff, like
Mashed
all of the sort of like carbs.
Right.
Or he's like, you gotta go first the crab legs. And
Then shrimp cocktail.
he's like
And then-
sucking the meat out of a
Yeah.
crab leg and it proves too challenging. And he's like, it's not worth it. I'll just get a different crab leg. Goes back and
Right,
gets
the
the
crazy
buffet.
guy.
And there's something like really beautiful about, again, it's like this book is so cool because there are recipes, but then there's also like exquisite writing, and like beautifully observed sort of like compulsions of American consumption and culinary the culinary society in which we live.
Thanks.
And I don't know that I necessarily had a point there. I just wanted to shout it out.
I like how you say culinary.
That's a word that I never know if it's culinary or culinary.
I feel like it seemed exotic the way you did it. Very.
That's what I'm always looking for. It's like really what I'm always going for. Something really sweet that Jake said back in the little office before we started was that this is a cookbook for right now, but it's not trend related, which I think is so neat. Because we're all obviously addicted. Well, I won't throw you all under the bus, but I am addicted to the internet and I like have to scroll and I feel like I'm constantly like thinking that I'm having an original thought and then I realize that like everyone, all the Substack girlies are like, so we're wearing corduroys, right? And I'm like, fuck. And I think it's sort of like back to the point I was trying to make earlier of like, I think what's so cool about this recipe or these recipes or this book is that it's like you're actually not being prescriptive, which is often a thing that like a recipe sort of inherently is. It's that you're sort of empowering people to be more comfortable in a kitchen. Like you're not being like, here's how to make marry me, whatever. Like you're like, here's why you add salt to boiling water to achieve like a chemical reaction. And I think that it's such a it's just like a lovely way to approach it. And it feels like I wonder like who your teachers were in the kitchen who helped you like feel comfortable with experimentation and like curious and like it's fun and a joyful act to make food.
Well, I think I feel really lucky today that almost all of my friends love to cook and bake, and a lot of them are professional cookbook writers, chefs, bakers, pastry chefs, etc. So I feel like I'm constantly learning from my friends, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Like whether I'm reading their books or just watching something they made or calling them frantically, like Dan is right there. I feel like I called him frantically a lot during the vodka sauce and meatball research. And they will like take my calls and explain stuff to me, or even for that same vodka sauce chapter, Eric had already written a story about what exactly vodka does in the sauce. So I feel like I'm kind of always like pulling from stuff that my friends have already done, which is really nice. And often it'll be dishes I've made with them or had with them.
Yeah.
So it feels personal and not just like I'm cheating. And I think growing up, my teachers were definitely my parents. Like I grew up in this very wonderful but neurotic family where the only thing that kind of calmed all five of us at once was food.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be like frantically around the house, just all feeling like emotions and not processing them. And then all of a sudden, someone would be like making a pot of sauce. And we would like kind of all gravitate toward the kitchen. And it would be this sort of experience of like communal pleasure, I guess, that felt like motivating. And so it made me want to learn how to do that. And then when I was a young adult, that was sort of how I calmed myself. Like when I worked on Wall Street, I remember Nate and I lived near the Murray Hill Fairway, and I would like get lost in there for hours just shopping for ingredients and menu planning, and then come home and make some sort of very elaborate tomato soup. And it would feel like almost like a therapy exercise.
Do you feel like do you have like a different relationship? I like cooking and I get really stressed out by baking.
Well,
But you don't seem to feel like that. Okay, the way you just responded makes me feel like,
I don't think that there are any pastry chefs here.
okay, so let it rip.
I feel like people take baking too seriously. I love
Totally.
baking and I love a
Totally.
professional baked good. And of course, like there is science involved, but like you can be playful and riff when you're baking. You can substitute stuff. It's all about just learning the cues, just like with cooking. Like
Yeah.
if you substitute an ingredient like we did last weekend, like there will be you don't want to know. There will be unintended consequences, but like when you start to learn the cues of like textures you're going for a cookie dough or a cake or
Yeah.
a pudding or a mousse, or understanding like I'm whipping these eggs to aerate them and I want them to be this texture so that in the oven they rise. You totally can freestyle and you don't have to feel beholden to instructions and it doesn't have to be stressful.
Yeah. I think I also
Last weekend notwithstanding.
we've had some, as I mentioned, we've had some disasters, some like truly foul souffles that we've made together. Like tuna and accidentally banana.
That one was
currently.
good.
Well, the
That
tuna
was
one
good.
was good. I was thinking a little bit of like the sort of Venn diagram overlap of like obsessed with the best and my obsession with like tasting donuts and it was never, well, no, I mean it did start out as I was like, what is the best donut in Los Angeles? Like this
It
town
did.
is like full of donut bakeries and like which one is the best one?
And I was gonna ask which one was.
I don't think I've found it yet.
Do you feel like that might be an excuse so you can keep eating donuts?
Yeah, definitely. Like
Cool.
definitely. But at the same time, I have been accused like a friend one time responded to one of my stories and he was like, Maddie, you just say every donut is good. Like you never don't like
That's so
donut.
true.
Like the standards, like my standards are really low, I guess.
Well, or maybe you're doing a lot of research up front.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But that's so generous of you to say. But I think I just am like, as long as it tastes good, I'm like down.
Okay.
And do you feel like I think you have higher standards?
It depends on the item, but yes.
What are items that you have really high standards for, and what are items that you have really low standards for?
Really low standards for freezer pizza. I will fuck with like any freezer pizza. Like I
So
don't
crazy.
care. I will put a lot of salt on it and just yeah, sorry. Even on an airplane.
You'll salt food on an airplane? That
I
food is
mean,
like
I will
famously
even
all
eat like a
mixed with salt.
gross freezer pizza on an airplane. But yeah, I would salt food on an airplane if I had salt. I don't travel with salt, but I would.
Do you travel with any condiments?
Only accidentally. But
Say more.
like like you didn't know it was in your wallet. But
I'm getting a flashback to your mom saying all of your like required ingredients are like specialty
yeah.
milled
She's
powders
great.
like cocaine.
There are a lot of foods that I have a really high bar for. Biscuits. I had a really subpar piece of coffee cake today.
Mm-mm.
It was dry, and I was like, "Why are we?" I still ate the whole thing,
Of course, yeah.
but there was tahini in it. Like I feel like there's a lot of people putting stuff in things that like it feels like it's
Tahini is trendy right now.
yeah, tahini's delicious, but it didn't need to be in that coffee cake, which was also, by the way, dry. Um, but I think like junk food and snacking food, I have a low bar for sure.
Right,
Like I eat a lot of
chips.
like Cheez-Its,
Yeah,
chips,
yeah.
goldfish. I've been, I'm pregnant. I've been having a lot of daily Diet Cokes. Like I just go to the Five Guys on my corner and fill that up in like a 360 machine and I like bring it home and I drink it and fall asleep on the couch.
Such a cool way to spend your time.
So there's like a lot of I think there's a lot of stuff I don't have a high bar for.
I think that's nice.
Pasta I have a really high bar for. I hate mushy pasta, and
Yeah.
whether it's dry or fresh pasta.
I still think like one of the most miraculous things I've ever encountered was the fact that all of the pasta at Nate and your wedding was like perfectly cooked, even though there were like
Wow.
200 guests. It was like really.
We can't take credits.
No, I know that you were not personally preparing it in the kitchen
You
in
never
your like
know.
gown.
I did get sauce on it almost immediately.
And your on your dress.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
My
I was
sister
thinking
did
about
like
this
that.
earlier because I was talking about aprons at play rehearsal and you don't wear aprons.
No, I don't. Yeah, I hate aprons.
Risky. Do you
I
have
know.
a phone case?
I don't have a phone case.
Okay.
When I'm having a dinner party, I'll like cook in like a really big weird shirt, and then like minutes before everyone arrives, I put on my real shirt.
Oh, that's smart. Like
Yeah.
like the way the kids in art class wear dad's dress shirt.
Just like
Yeah, it's not a bad idea actually.
yeah, it's
That's
like a
cool.
mess shirt.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm in the real bottom, so it gets risky and it can be touch and go.
Yeah. That's scary.
But no aprons. I don't like them. I feel bound by them in a weird way. They never fit my body right. And also, I feel like there was this real big moment right when I was coming into food media when it was like Bon Appetit was psychotically cool and we're at the peak of like parasocial food media. Everyone's obsessed with all these people and we feel like we know them. And like aprons were a really big part of that, like signaling that you were like a test kitchen star.
Right.
And I feel like every time I put one on, because I've never cooked in one naturally, it looks like I'm playing dress up and doing cosplay.
I think that's why I like it.
It's like she saw Molly Baz once.
Yeah.
Bought the same apron.
Yeah. I think that's why I like it.
And it's like unstained and pristine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever doubt? This is also sort of a question a little bit about Nate, your husband. Well, we're gonna put him on the hot spot. Hot seat. Do you ever doubt your own taste? And I know like Nate has sometimes I've like witnessed Nate give like brutal feedback sometimes on how he tastes. It's so mean. You would not believe how mean this guy is sometimes with his recipe feedback. I'm kidding. He's just like very truthful in a way that is sort of shockingly candid and frank, and I guess is indicative of the fact that he lives every single day eating your exquisite food. But I'm wondering, like, do you ever doubt your own taste? Do you ever like, does Nate ever give you feedback where he's like, no, this isn't a hit, and you're like, you're wrong?
All the time. I feel like almost all the time when he says something's wrong with something I've made, I'm like, you're incorrect.
Because you inherently always know that you are right.
So not necessarily. I mess up a lot. And
Okay.
I would say I feel a lot of self-doubt in my day-to-day life in general. I don't always feel that way when I'm cooking. For some reason, I really trust in my palate and my understanding of what I'm going for and how the thing compares. And so I'm much more likely to be like, you're wrong. You don't understand the thing than if I like turn in a piece of writing and my editor was like, this sucks, you have to redo it. I'd be like, you're making good points here.
Right.
Whereas sometimes with the dish, that said, I very much am aware of and try to cater to the fact, whether it's like for a cookbook or for a dinner party, that a lot of people don't share my taste.
But they're wrong too, I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, they're wrong, but I
Yeah.
still don't want them to be miserable in my home.
Right, right, right.
So I feel like taste is one of those things. I never go to a restaurant and like doubt what I think about the thing I'm eating,
Interesting.
but I'm aware that other people might disagree because they're coming from a different place or have a different context for the thing.
When you're having people come over for dinner, how much time do you spend thinking of like their palates and what they like to eat?
A fair amount,
Okay.
like a lot.
You're telling me you overthink things?
Yeah.
The author of Obsessed with the Best?
Like the first
Compulsive
time you
reason-
came over for dinner in like 2000,
yeah.
2020,
This was so
I
flattering.
feel like I did a deep dive on you on the internet.
Also, yeah, the meal that Ella made the first time we had like met, but I had never come over to her house for dinner, and she made this like exquisite duck confit that was like clearly she had taken like days to make.
But didn't I say I didn't?
Yeah. You were like you were like, oh, this old thing, I just threw it together, and I was like,
I feel like I lied, yeah.
yeah, and it was like visibly not true, and I was sort of like, I just don't think that that's true. And then you like wrote an essay about how you had done this thing.
Always doing that.
You're always telling on
I'm
yourself.
outing myself.
Well,
I'm glad we can be open about it now.
thank God you're here in front of all of these people with microphones. It's
Yeah.
to be intimate and close with your friends.
Exactly.
um, fuck, Mary, kill.
Whoa.
Chocolate chip cookies. Tonato. Cabbage.
My chocolate chip cookies and my cabbage?
Yeah, all of these are yours.
No.
I know. I thought
You like to pick different recipes.
it was like sort of mean.
I'm so sorry.
No, you don't have
Those
to
are
do it.
3 of my favorites.
No,
You have to pick other
I
ones.
thought it would be like a chaotic thing, but it's mean.
Answer is polycule. Sexually active polycule.
Yeah, yeah, just like a major like.
It's like a tent at Burning Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
People aren't leaving for days.
and it smells crazy.
It smells crazy, but really good.
Yeah, it's a really good combo.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, no, no. I don't want you to actually do it. It would be so mean.
I would. There are other recipes. It's just those 3 are really good.
There are recipes in here that you would kill.
I think every cookbook author probably feels like this. It's not that I would kill them or I don't believe in them or I'm not proud of them, but like there are things that if I had another year, I would probably change or tweak. And there are even recipes I love where there are steps of them that now when I make them, I do them differently. And I wish I could sort of like reissue just step 8.
Right. That's something. Oh, I hadn't even thought of this, but it's like there's something scary about like the permanence of this, of like it does ultimately become a time capsule of like your current personality and thought process and taste. Where like, did you have to occasionally just be like, well, it's gotta be like this has to be like I can't be like Charlie XCX and continue to like reissue remixes of the tracks. Like it has to be this.
Totally. And I think that the internet is sort of freeing in that way because I do feel like I could reissue information
Totally.
readily. I obviously wouldn't want to say everything's wrong, totally do it differently. There's 1,000 typos, but I do feel like I could take to the internet and say, I found a better way to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think is a likely candidate?
The onion dip and the smashed potatoes.
Wow.
I have you roast the onions in the oven because I didn't want you to have to deal with the stovetop if you were already roasting the potatoes. But it's just so much easier to caramelize onions on the stovetop.
Yeah, and it's like not actually hard. It just is time
And
consuming.
it's way easier to burn them at a high temperature in the oven. And I'm always wandering away.
Yeah,
Always.
because you hate your ugly kitchen.
Exactly. We were just talking about that before. She's not dissing my kitchen.
Well, I am, but with your consent.
You're obsessed with my kitchen.
I am. I know, and it's the only place I ever hang out during parties there. I think we've arrived at a moment where we can open it up to questions from the audience. So I would love to know if anyone has a burning question. Yes.
Sorry, a little bit congested.
I'll be sure to repeat that when I
You.
do it.
For the live stream.
Right, right. Well, I obviously have questions about that freezer pizza airport thing. But I'm curious about your Instagram posts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where you have like 5 million eggs
Uh-huh.
all perfectly oozing. And I've been wondering, I don't know, I've never asked you, how do you get them all? Is it photoshopped or do you have like 20 hidden stoves in your apartment?
Okay, so the question, sorry, I have to repeat it for the live stream. Hi, live stream. Luke's question, first he mentioned that he was congested. He coughed and he said, I'm sorry, I'm congested. And then his question is, Ella's Instagram always has the like all of the different types of eggs laid out. And how does she do it? Is it Photoshop? Is it real? Right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's real. It's not photoshopped. It when I do it myself, it's very touch and go and chaotic and things are sitting in it. Say it's like poached eggs, you mentioned the oozing. I would poach them all and arrange them all, but then cut them right before I took the photo so they're all oozing at the same time. Or find a way to style something so it looks finished at the same time, like pancakes you could finish over 4 hours, but then put maple syrup on right at the end and take a photo or a video. It got a lot crazier on set because there were a lot of different people there who were all sorts of detail oriented about different things. And that involved a food stylist who had multiple assistants and they were always like running around my apartment with big trays of eggs and it smelled really bad for weeks and then they would also do tricks to like make things look fresher for the real camera, like the soft scrambled eggs. They would like paint egg onto the scrambled eggs so it looked like they just came off the stove.
Wow, so it's trickery.
It's real.
Let's do Tanya.
Longtime fan, first time caller. I often think when I see a concert of the person singing and how sick of this song they must be. And I think that any cookbook author is making a lot of the dishes over and over and over again, but this task specifically, you had to make so many of a single thing. Is there one food you cannot eat anymore?
This is an awesome question. Like a singer in a concert must be so sick of the songs that they have to sing over and over and over again. The same must be true of recipe authors. What is one thing that you like cannot possibly fathom eating again?
Right now, I'm fine. Like there's nothing, but in the past, I used to do this bench testing exercise as a column for Food 52 many years ago. And during COVID, I did one on porterhouse steaks. And I couldn't touch one for like 3 years. And I was just like revolted even by the sight or smell of them. But I do have a friend who jokes that the secret purpose of this exercise is to determine the exact volume at which a food becomes disgusting or unpalatable. And it varies so much food to food. Like jam, the bar is really high, but something like a poached egg or a scrambled egg, it's shockingly low.
Gus, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's a follow-up to the other question about the lineups. So when you're shooting the book, usually from my understanding is like the food stylist has like your recipes to make. But in this book, they literally have to air fry one and do one like a million different ways. So how did that affect like the process of shooting a book? And it's your first book. Like, did you have to explain like how crazy this was gonna be to everyone to make sure there was time?
Okay, so the question is basically, this feels so silly, but the question is the like food styling for the shoot for the cookbook. The like you have this requirement that it's like one thing is air fried, one thing is poached, one thing is whatever. Did you have to explain in advance to the people taking the photographs like how cuckoo it's gonna be?
I tried to hide it as much as I could from everyone who's going to be involved in the shoot because I knew it was going to be like chaos and hell, and I really wanted them all to do it. It was all people I really wanted to work on it. So I was like, it's fine. You do it by myself, so it'll actually be nice to have some extra hands around. And I did very diligently, I thought, although it ended up there were some holes. I prepared what I was calling like a production book for each head to head. So I would actually manually write out the recipe, even if it was something like poached eggs, where the variable that's changing is just add vinegar or don't or salt. I would go through and write like 36 recipes where I'm changing just that very specific little step because you've been on a lot of cookbook shoots. It's so chaotic. People are in different rooms. You're like over here dealing with a crisis or on the phone, or there's ice cream is melting and everyone's acting like it's a national emergency. And so you're like not able to kind of helicopter parent in the kitchen all the time. So I tried to put as much detail as possible up front, even though it took a really long time to put all those together and felt sort of stupid and iterative. And maybe that's something technology could do for me if I did this again.
Yeah.
Of the many obsessives that you met on this journey, which of them did you feel the most like seen by, or you saw yourself, your own obsession in? And you don't have to answer the next one. It's like, which of those people did you see your own obsession in and want to leave the room?
Of the many people that you interviewed and interacted with for this, uh, whose obsession did you most identify with?
Yeah.
And also whose obsession were you like, that's me and I hate it?
The first part, I spent a really lovely evening during a heat wave in Rome on a hilltop that Google Maps didn't show as an incline I'd have to walk up. And I got there and it was like 95 degrees, and this lovely woman had all of her friends come over. And, there were chefs and a woman who had run a local restaurant and she taught a cooking school. And she had told them that a journalist was going to be in town because she wanted to learn the best way to make a Roman meatball. So they were all there to offer me advice and show me different techniques. And in particular, there was this one woman named Elvira, who was the mother of one of the guests. And she was really taciturn and wonderful, just kind of like, there's no best way to make a meatball. You're crazy. This is so American. This is so stupid. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm here. And she, is very deft and great at cooking and rolling various types of meatballs very quickly, multiple in her hands at once, kind of like mad at the other people for adding extra salt and stuff to her mixes when she would turn away. And acting like this whole exercise was really stupid and she didn't really care, but she was just sort of like here. So she was going to do it. And then at one point, there was this moment in the night where I looked over and she's at the hot plate and her meatballs are all in the pan and they've sort of like exploded, like they haven't held together in the pan. And she just had these silent tears running down her face. And I've never related more to a person, because she cared so much despite the error she was trying to put on. And I just kind of had to like turn away and let her pull herself together. And then we both acted like it was no big deal, started again. But I felt like it was a very relatable moment.
That might answer both questions.
Yeah. Justin in the back.
Hi,
Congrats on the book.
thank you.
It's made me think about like my favorite quote is art is never finished, it's only abandoned. And I mean, I think about that in relation to finishing any project, but for you with these recipes, I guess I have two questions. One is like, when did you know when to stop iterating?
Mm.
And then the second part is like, which one, I guess, was the duration of longest time from start to finish?
When did you know to stop iterating and which took the longest?
There's some recipes I wish I could still work on, but deadlines really helped with that. And there were some that immediately I realized, okay, try 3 or 4. This I don't want to change it or tweak it anymore. I think the quote you just quoted about art, it feels the same way as when you're painting a painting or, I know you write music. Like I'm sure it's similar when you're writing a song. Sometimes you just know it's done. And there were some that I think I could go back to that didn't feel done ever, but I just had to turn them in, so I did the best. I made it okay, then I'm gonna cut off this part of it and make it so this is like a complete thing that I can feel good about. Um, what was the second part? Sorry.
Oh, the longest amount of time
Oh.
when you began and when you sort of finished one.
Okay, the longest amount of time it took to develop a recipe, I would say it would be a tie between the triple secret meatballs and the actually chewy fresh pasta. Because, oh, and maybe the biscuits, because all three of those required a lot of travel and reporting. So for the pasta, I traveled all through Italy to learn how to make fresh pasta and kind of try and collect tips and techniques and tricks, and then brought them back to my kitchen to adapt it. And then pasta literally takes a really long time because you're hand kneading each batch, and they're like 30 or 40 batches for like 15 minutes and resting it and rolling it out and cutting it. The meatballs took a long time because I traveled to Italy and, went around Rome for those, but I also went to Japan because I wanted to learn about tsukune from a chef in Tokyo. So that took probably the most miles and travel time and time in the air, and then back in my apartment trying to adapt it. And the biscuits as well, because I went down to Alabama for that. And it was sort of like a several day expedition. And then, of course, those take a long time. They're really easy to make, but to make so many batches of them, you can't, there's only so small you can scale it. You have to do like 40 batches. You have to. Yes.
I'm curious if there are any recipes that did not make it in that you wish would have, or would second.
Any recipes that didn't make it in that you wish would have?
I mean, I really wish weeknight pizza had worked. Obviously, I like pizza. But I really could not make it taste like it had been fermenting for days just with yeast and various other things I was trying to add. If I do a second book, I hope that that can be something I tackle. The moose chapter was really fun. I did sneak a moose in the whipped cream chapter, so I'm okay about it. But I feel like there's a lot I could do with mooses.
Oh, the plural is mooses.
Is it? I don't know. I
Yeah,
maybe
it's
just said
probably
it.
not meese.
It could be.
We have time for one more question. Yes.
Is there any food that you uh, started out really hating and only decided to do because a family member or a friend liked and you developed a liking for, or just decided to keep in anyway?
Oh, sweet. A food that you started out hating and then a friend or family member liked, and so you sort of kept on encountering it.
Controversially, I don't usually love a roast chicken, like a whole roast chicken. And I can't even look at my husband because it's his favorite food, and
He looks haunted. He's silent tears.
like as recently as last week got into like a tense argument at a table in a restaurant because he really wanted to get the chicken and I just absolutely didn't. But as I write about in the book, it's a really important food to a lot of my family members, my husband, my mother, my best friend Lauren, and there's a chapter in the book about Lauren and her mom and how they have a lot of really strong opinions about chicken. And so that was something I wanted to tackle because I wanted to see if I could make a roast chicken that they would approve of, which was of course nerve-wracking at the end.
I think that's all the time we have, but thank you guys for your questions. And thank you, Ella.
Thank you, Abby.
Everyone, please keep it going for Ella. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you to everyone who asked questions. Thank you, Madeline, for stepping in at the last minute and doing such a great job moderating. And thank you, Ella, for celebrating this launch with us. So some final reminders before we all wrap up and head home. If you're still with us on the live stream, you can buy a copy by clicking the link in the live stream description. those of you with us here in person tonight, if you're not as obsessed with this book as we are already, then I don't know what you're doing here, but we've got plenty of additional signed copies available at the register where you checked in, and Ella will be around to personalize those books to a special someone, be it yourself or your partner or whoever you love to cook for. That will be happening where you grabbed your cookies from earlier and where my coworkers are now pointing to in the back there. And you will have a chance to grab some more cookies if you haven't gotten one yet. So get your book personalized, grab a chocolate chip cookie. We're going to have you all line up down the center aisle, come around to the wall. Please make sure to grab all of your personal belongings with you so our staff can start to break down and rearrange the store. And let's give these two one last round of applause.